What is really going on? What's really good, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you once again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the earlier episodes. A lot of them were very fun. Most all of them were very fun to do. It was me pushing myself out of my comfort zone, really trying to do something before I was ready, And I thought I needed more cloud, needed more everything to like start talking to people on the podcast. Turns out you just got to ask people, and a lot of them will just say yes. So that's what I did. I'm working on the next set of guest appearances, so I thought I'd take a little bit of a couple of weeks of break just to chat with you guys solo. Just you and me, just gang. Don't worry, I already have guests for the next set. It's just I want to talk to you alone and kind of give you an update on how things are going, how things are moving with my own life and what I'm doing. Lately, I'm recording this, full disclosure, I'm recording this at the end of January. And I've already felt myself kind of slipping out of that initial like productivity, just 2.5 month spurt that I had starting in November, right? Or starting even in October. And so I'm starting to feel it slip a little bit. So I'm working on just keeping up the methods that I have to keep myself doing the things that I'm doing. I've still been pretty consistent, right? All of these uploads have been pre-done or pre-recorded, pre-uploaded, pre-edited, everything like that, right? And so I can focus on more in the moment things, which is the book channel. And I've been doing constant episodes or videos on that. I've been very proud of myself for keeping up with that. But I have felt myself slipping in terms of the work aspect, in terms of the like every day doing something. I've slipped in the gym. I've slipped out of it in the gym a little bit. I've slipped out of it, typing up my book reviews. I've slipped out just a little bit, but it's not where I want, right? So I thought instead of waiting until February to record this video for like March, I thought, let me just do it now. I really want to talk with you guys. Let me just do it now. Because, I think it'll be fun. I have a whole list of things that I like jot down to myself to talk with you guys, to talk about with you guys later. And one of those things today is actually, I've always wanted to take the MBTI test. If you don't know what that is, MBTI stands for Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. Essentially a glorified personality test, but apparently it is said to be like either very accurate or very relatable, or people rely on it a lot. People bring it up a lot. People ask, "Oh, what's your MBTI?" and they try and predict everybody else's MBTI, things like that. I believe it's like a 4x4 grid, something like that. But I wanted to take that with you guys, like right now. I won't show you every single question. I won't show you the entire exam, and I'll go over the results with you guys. But I thought it'd just be fun to kind of do this with you guys as opposed to doing it alone and then sharing what happened with you guys. And I've never done this before. What I've told you now is the extent of what I know. So hopefully, we'll see how it goes. So let's just kind of go through this, right? What's the aim of the MBTI? It's designed to help people identify and gain some understanding around how they take in information and make decisions, the patterns of perception and judgment as seen in normal, healthy behavior. Sure, okay. Perception and judgment in type theory describe how people prefer to use their minds. Perception involves all the ways of becoming aware of things, people, happenings, ideas. People naturally perceive in opposite ways. Judgment involves all the ways of coming to conclusions about what has been perceived. There are also opposite ways in how people naturally make decisions. Okay, that's fine. What is the innate versus learned process? Our personality type preferences are innate. Sorry, let me restart that. According to type theory, our personality type preferences are innate, inborn predispositions that develop over the lifespan. Frequent use of one side of a preference pair leads to the development of certain personality characteristics. And although we find similar characteristics and behaviors in people with the same preferences, there are also differences. Type does not indicate behavior. Preferences describe behavioral attributes. And I'm just reading without actually processing, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you know what? Let's just get into it. So the MBTI is a 4-letter describer a lot of the times, right? So you are either in extroversion or in introversion, right? So an E and an I is usually how it starts, which are opposite ways to direct and receive energy. And then, do you prefer to focus on the outer world or your own inner world? I actually want to do something really interesting now that I thought about it. Let me find a pen. I want to predict what mine would be, and then we'll see if I was actually right. Okay, so let's just see real quick. Okay, so I'm definitely an I. That much I know. I know that I'm an introversion, 100%. Sensing or intuition is the next one, right? Either an S or an N, which is, opposite ways to take in information. Do you prefer to focus on the facts or the big picture? And I think I'm more so intuition, so N. Thinking or feeling, so opposite ways to decide and come to conclusions. Do you prefer to take an objective or do you prefer to take an objective or empathetic approach to deciding? Definitely thinking. INT. Judging or perceiving. Do you prefer to seek closure or stay open to new information? This one's up in the air, right? I've been known to feel like both. So this one could be a J or a P, to be honest. I actually don't know what to predict for myself for that. So let's keep it going. These are the 4x4 indexes on kind of what you could end up as, depending on all of your decisions. And then let's see, here's some important key points. Most people prefer one side more than the other. Type is inborn. We are predisposed. Type does not limit or box you in. There are no better or worse types. All types are equally valuable. Type does not tell you how to think, be, or act. The MBTI acts as sort of our assessment source for preferences. It does not measure traits, ability, skill, or character. There have been more than 70 years of research on the MBTI system. It is scientifically reliable and valid. They underlined that for me because they knew that I said it was a glorified personality test. So they're saying, no, it's not, Arish. Shut the fuck up, bro. Learning about your personality helps you identify your natural strengths and unique gifts. Type awareness enhances self-understanding and brings to light potential areas for growth. Type awareness can help you understand and appreciate personality differences in yourself and others. This is just blah, blah, blah. And let's just go into it. All right, couldn't you guys back in? It's explaining the different pairs, right? And I just want to kind of clarify for you guys, in case somebody listening to this didn't know what they meant, right? Introversion versus extroversion. People usually say being an extrovert or being an introvert is how you get energy, right? How do you or what drains you and what energizes you, right? Do you get energy by being with people or do you get energy by being by yourself? Are you drained when you're with people or are you drained when you're alone? This one kind of opens it up to basically say extroverted people feel energized by interacting with the outer world of people and things, and introverted people, introversions, get energized by going within themselves, being with themselves in their own inner world. Then sensing versus intuition. People who prefer intuition pay more attention to the patterns and possibilities in the information they receive. They focus on what could be by looking at the big picture. And then sensing, people pay more attention to information that is concrete and tangible. They focus on what is by paying attention to specific details and facts. They rely on perception through their five senses, like a trust experience. Or they trust experience versus Oh, that's interesting. I've always had a more logical brain, but that logic term doesn't actually fit into it. It doesn't fit perfectly into sensing or intuition. Okay, I might be wrong there, depending on what happens. Thinking, people who prefer to thinking put more weight on objective principles. People who prefer feeling put more weight on personal concerns and people involved. I'm thinking through and through. Judging or perceiving. This one's difficult. People who prefer judging, like a more structured and organized lifestyle. People who prefer perceiving, like a more flexible and open-ended lifestyle. Let me just put that big fat J next to my prediction just to tell you that I'm a judger. Judging everything. All right, running it. We're not running through all these right now. Ooh, actually, no, just kidding. Let's run through the one that I had predicted for myself, right? INTJ, right here. They have original minds and great drive for implementing their ideas and achieving their goals. They quickly see patterns in external events and develop long-range explanatory perspectives. When combined, organize a job and carry it through. Or, what the fuck? When committed, organize a job and carry it through. Skeptical and independent, have high standards of competence and performance for themselves and others. As my good friend Canvas would say, it must suck working for me. Quick interjection here from editing Arish. I don't really say the questions out loud. I just kind of react to them as I'm reading them on the video. So if you want to know the exact questions that I'm looking at, you're going to have to watch the video for it. If you don't care, skip ahead. That's fine. You'll see what happens. All right, I actually found the test. The website that was on was only to explain how all these things work. It wasn't even the actual test. So it shows you how much I actually know about it. I'm on one of, I guess, many sites that give you a 4-letter personality test. I'm just on one that looked like it was the most common one, so we'll see how it goes. I would love to be on the agree side of this, but damn, I do be procrastinating, you know? Shit, that happened to me today. You know, this is an interesting question because I do find myself wanting to, but I do not feel comfortable actually acting out in it, right? There's so many times when I'll see somebody interesting in a coffee shop or in a mall or on the road, and I'm like, they probably do have some interesting insight into the world or just their own lives, or they might be interesting to talk to. And I wish I was the kind of person that could do that, but I'm not. I don't feel comfortable doing it at all. Do I enjoy team-based activities? I enjoy them to an extent because I can pawn work off on other people that I know I'm not good at, but I'm also like solo activities because I don't have to rely on anybody else. I guess team-based activities don't necessarily mean like, you know, like a presentation. Like it might just be like a go do a fun like a team-based thing. See, I wish I could come up with new and untested approaches to then enjoy experimenting with them, but I don't. I can't even come up with new and untested approaches in the first place. What does this question even mean? You prioritize being sensitive over being completely honest. Like, do you prioritize not trying to hurt somebody's feelings over being completely honest? Yes, I do. I do actively seek out knowledge areas to explore, but the type of new experiences that are generally touted as experiences, like traveling and things like that, I don't seek them out as readily. But I try to keep on the news side than stick in my own way side. I try to at least. This is crazy being a fantasy reader and reviewer, but I have said on multiple occasions all the time, I do not plan to write a book ever in my life. I suck at writing. This is a good one. How would you guys describe me? Would you describe me as lively and outgoing? Because I have been told on occasion when I tell somebody I'm socially awkward as fuck and socially anxious all the time, that they're like, "Oh, you're so outgoing. What do you mean? I wouldn't even be able to tell." I'm like, "Yeah, that's the work I have to do to keep it inside." But maybe they would a little bit, but the friends who know me would not. Damn. This one's crazy. It says, when someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take them to feel disappointed in you. And I think about that a lot. I have to think about that almost every day. This is a hard one because I do love working alone. I love working remote. I don't love being in the office around people. But I do understand the benefit of it, right? I understand being around people who are also working, being in an environment that promotes the work that you need to do. And being able to lean on others if you're ever feeling like I don't feel like working right now, or I'm not sure, I'm not the most productive right now. You can always lean on a group of people to maybe get a little spurt of energy, to get a little, burst of efficiency, productivity, etc., to help you get through the day. I see the benefit in that, but I would prefer a job solo or isolated? Well, these are simple ones. You often feel overwhelmed. Yes. Complete things methodically without skipping over any steps. Heavily disagree. I'm a step skipper. You prefer tasks that require you to come up with creative solutions rather than follow concrete steps. Disagree. You are more likely to rely on emotional intuition than logical reasoning when making a choice. Disagree. You struggle with deadlines. Heavily agree. You're confident that things will work out for you. Heavily agree. Select your gender. I do be cisgender, male presenting, hetero, whatever other people, whatever the rest of the stuff that I'm supposed to say is. We'll go with that. Let's see what we get. Let's see what we get. As an INTP, not a J. I'm an INTP. I got it. I'm typing it down so I don't forget it. Shit, okay. As an INTP logician, you possess a unique blend of intellectual curiosity and analytical prowess, and a penchant for abstract thinking. Your mind is a playground of ideas, constantly exploring complex concepts and seeking to understand the underlying principles of the world around you. You approach life with a rational, logical mindset, preferring to rely on facts and reason rather than emotions or conventional wisdom. Your insatiable thirst for knowledge drives you to delve deep into subjects that capture your interest. You're not content with surface level understanding. Instead, you strive to grasp the intricacies of systems and theories, often developing innovative solutions to complex problems. This intellectual depth, combined with your ability to think outside the box, sets you apart in both personal and professional spheres. That is a load of bullshit. Because I have never developed innovative solutions in my life. And I am not set apart in both personal and professional spheres. Nope. That's some bullshit. I'm 76% introverted. That's fair. That's fair. They call me turbulent as fuck. Hello. My name is Arish. I'm turbulent. All right. That's enough of that. We're going back to main face cam. So that was the MBTI test. I would love to know what you guys are, if you guys have ever taken this exam or this test. I don't know why I called it an exam. It was fun. It was fun to just go through it, go through the questions, kind of think about things. When they give you sliders like this, I kind of have to. I get a little bit in my head of like, how strongly do I agree, or am I like a slight agree? Am I a heavy disagree? Am I just like a casual agree or disagree? Can I not even have a claim? Do I not even have a preference on this topic? And I go neutral. I actually went a neutral on like a couple of those, not all of them. That was interesting. That was fun. I'm not going to go through all of the, different thoughts and insights that I've been thinking about over the past couple of weeks / months. I wrote down as many as I could, and I continue to do so. But I wanted to talk about a couple with you guys because, I always want to leave you. I do want to try and leave you with something to think about, or maybe have a conversation with your friends or whoever you talk to. A couple of them I still have to look into before I can even talk about it. But there is one, right? The first one is using ego for good. That's just what I wrote down. And the reason why is because growing up, you see ego as a really negative connotation. You see ego with the term egotistical. You see egotistical with this as a synonym of narcissism. You see people who are called narcissist as maybe like not a great person or not the best person, or puts themselves first or only thinks about themselves, is overconfident, egotistical. It just kind of flows, right? But I feel like you have to be in some way egotistical or narcissistic to really achieve the things you want to achieve, because you have to know what to put before others. You have to know what to prioritize, right? If your goal is what you're trying to get to, then you have to do things that prioritize that goal. Therefore, you have to do things that prioritize you being able to do the things that get you to that goal, right? You have to prioritize the work. You have to prioritize not chilling. You have to prioritize not going out with friends. You have to prioritize not watching a movie with your partner, depending on like if you have a partner or not. You have to prioritize a lot of things, not as a normal person would. You have to, in many ways, put yourself or put your goals and or your objectives over everything else. Some people don't like that, right? It's not a bad thing, but it's not a great thing. But some people don't like it, and that's okay. I think that's okay. It's it's what's necessary. And so when I think of like using ego for good, I think of it in my example. I think of it in the way that my ego keeps me forward looking, keeps me climbing the uphill battle. It keeps me ever growing and progressing. It does not allow me to feel complacent, to feel um like a honestly, it allows me not to live life on autopilot. It really helps me put intention and thought into the things that I do, into like if I'm thinking about this year, my ego tells me here's what you want to accomplish this year. Yes, it might seem a little bit daunting. It might seem like you can't do it, but trust me, set this goal and just work to achieve it. And then whatever happens on the way, we'll deal with it then. Now, on the flip side, that ego does kill you when it says, didn't do a good job, bro. You suck. You're dog shit. Like, why are you even doing all this work for? Try and find something else. That ego can be a little bit bad, can be a little bit hard to control. But I feel like as long as you're feeding the right ego, all things will come in line and you'll probably be the best version of yourself that you can. As long as you're feeding the right ego and being in the right balance. There was another one that said, who to blame for your failure? And this one was really interesting when I thought about it. I don't recall if it was like when I was on a call with a friend and I was chatting, or if it just come to me while listening to a podcast. But I find blaming and failure interesting concepts because it's very easy to point the finger at anything else besides yourself, because you're not used to taking accountability. You're not used to taking responsibility, and you're not used to the feeling of disappointment, failure, self-doubt, being upset at yourself, right? So you put the blame on somebody else to have an external target of your anger, disappointment, upsetment, etc., right? But I feel like no matter what happens, the first thing to do is look inward. Were there things that I could control? What can I control now? If something failed, why? Was it something that I did? Was it an uncontrollable factor that I could not have affected any other way? If, depending on what those answers are, you either have to let go and just feel the failure in the moment, feel the mistakes that you make, feel maybe you just didn't hit the goal you were going for, feel the disappointment in yourself. Or if it's no one's fault and it's just kind of happened, practice letting go. All right, nobody's fault, no harm, no foul. Let's just get up and try again. Let's go do something else. Let's forget about this. We couldn't help it. We learn from it. We move on. We don't dwell on it, right? There's a whenever you see people online in the space that I am, I scroll Twitter a lot, Instagram a little bit, not much Twitter anymore. I'm just on Twitter, or I'm not on TikTok a lot anymore. I'm aggressively on Twitter, probably to my detriment, but I think it's like good. It's like good mental training for me. I like it because it's work. It forces me to think, am I curating the feed that I want? Am I engaging with the stuff that I want to engage in? Am I seeing the things I want to see? And if things make their way in that shouldn't be there, am I taking the right steps to get them out and really curating the feed that I want, as opposed to just letting the algorithm do whatever it wants, right? Because a lot of people fall prey to the algorithm. They say, why is the algorithm showing me all this? Why is it showing me all this? It should be showing me this anyway. It's showing you what you pause and what your eyes glance over, right? And sometimes it might get it wrong and show you one thing that you don't like, but the fact that you looked at it, glanced at it, maybe you sat there to take a screenshot of it to send to someone else saying, why is my feed showing me this stuff? It takes all that into account. You can hit the three dots, hit not interested or don't show this again, and keep going forward. And you can actively curate these things, right? But people don't do that. So I feel like when it comes to this whole concept of who do you blame for your failure, if you fail to curate your environment that to what best suits you, you blame the world instead of blaming yourself. If you blame Elon Musk, you blame X, you blame the algorithm for what you're seeing. You don't blame yourself of, let me take like 5 minutes, let me unfollow things I need to unfollow, let me, show more of this on the things that I like, let me show less of this on things I don't like. Let me take 5 minutes to really work through this and see if it helps. And a lot of people will say, I did that and it didn't help. Okay, keep trying. It works. There's a reason why people use it. Now, I will say overarchingly, X is a cesspool. It's dog shit. But the concept is still there, right? You have autonomy in a way. You can go onto it for what you want to go onto it for and then get off of it, right? But it is hard. It is very difficult because these platforms are specifically, technically, algorithmically designed to keep your attention there, even past when you're even like, you can disassociate and just scroll for 30 minutes and not even know what you just did. I've been there so many times. I hated it. And I thought the problem was X. I thought the problem was Instagram. I thought the problem was TikTok. And in many ways they are. But I also was like, the problem is me, because I'm going into these things. I'm not curating my feed. I'm not, like, what I'll do is I'll just go in and read a couple of lines. I'll do a couple of swipes and then I'll leave. I won't allow myself to really dig in, because I've found what I want to pique my interest is not in those apps anymore. I don't go there for entertainment, right? I go to YouTube. I don't go there for knowledge. I go to YouTube, or I go to like my mail inbox if I've subscribed to Substacks, or I'll go to, I'll go into Discord and chat with some friends instead, or that's the whole reason why I love reading, is it takes me off the internet, right? It takes me off my phone. It's either on my Kindle or a book. I'm not on my phone ever if I'm reading. Once again, shameless plug, the Opal app is dope. Okay. I really think it's dope. It has really significantly improved, like, when I go on to apps, and significantly improved how susceptible I am to distractions, which is not as much anymore. I still am. There are still days when I'll go into the app, click leave early to unblock everything, and then scroll media. I did that today. I'll be honest. I did that today. It did not feel great. I felt awful doing it, but I was so bored all day, and my mind just couldn't latch onto something to do, like a podcast or a book or whatever. And I kept telling myself, like, I don't want to do any of those things right now. So my brain latched onto the only thing that, would keep me occupied, and that was social media. I hated that. But now that I've identified what it is, hopefully tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the rest of this week will be much better in that respect. But anyways, going back to the concept of who to blame for your failure, I'm always an advocate of look inward first before you project outward. And hopefully that then helps you manage your expectations, manage your emotions, manage your actions and your behaviors, and kind of, helps in the moment versus hinders. We've talked about you are what you consume before, and I do love this though. I think it's more accurate representation of nature versus nurture, as opposed to, you're a product of your environment. You're a product of what your consumption is now, and as long as you can curate what your consumption, you can curate yourself. You can grow to be a better person than you are if that is your goal, as long as you're actively curating what you're consuming, because we're all consuming something at some point now. We're never not consuming anything anymore. That's just how it is. So you just have to control what you are consuming and how much of it that you are consuming. This little phrase that I typed up kind of goes with the ego thing, but it was kind of something that I thought about, and I'll just say that is, and maybe I'll just leave it, whatever. But it's when ego and anxiety are battling inside of you, the winner determines how successful you are. And I don't recall if I read that somewhere or if that was my paraphrasing of something else that I read. I really should start putting my sources on these things. But that's essentially like my way of working through, like, for me, ego is good. Anxiety is also good. But ego can be bad for you, and anxiety can also be bad for you. To me, and the way that my brain works, my ego is good and my anxiety is bad. My anxiety keeps me kind of plateaued and or hinders me, and my ego is the one that's like constantly pulling me forward. So when those two are battling inside of me, and if my anxiety wins, I kind of crumble. I kind of collapse. I freeze. I deteriorate almost. And if my ego wins, I'm unstoppable at that point. Like I do whatever it is I want to do at that point. There's nothing stopping me from getting the act done. Nothing, there's no substitute for how other people perceive it. Like, people are going to perceive what I do however they perceive it, but I can only control my actions and the frequency and consistency of them. And so I'm constantly trying to put myself in positions where my ego can win over my anxiety, because that's just what's important to me right now. I'll leave you guys with this last one, because this is like, I've been thinking about this a lot, because I'm in the gaming space, I'm in the streaming space, in terms of like watching a lot of streamers, watching a lot of video gamers, subscription-based models, right? There's been a very meteoric rise in the porn industry, as there has been over the past few years, but it's been exponentially increased by the presence of like OnlyFans, Fansly, other subscription-based platforms to pay like for these kind of things. Not just that, regular streamers, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, like paying people money for like entertainment is a thing now, right? But this is what I wrote down, and this is why I keep my subscriptions to a bare minimum. And there's very specific reasons why I'm subscribed to the people that I'm subscribed to. So here's what I wrote down. Everybody has $5. The decision is whether you choose to spend that $5 on yourself or someone else. What do you do with that $5? Do you spend it to make someone else wealthy, to give someone else food on their table, to give someone else money to buy clothes with, or do you use it for yourself, to make yourself wealthy, to put food on your table, to help you buy things that you want? What are you using the $5 for? And if you only gave people $5, most of them would say, I'm going to go use it on myself because I only have $5. But, a lot of people have disposable wealth, disposable income. They will spend whatever they want anywhere. And so it kind of hit me, and this is kind of how I frame the use of my own money for myself. What am I using the money for? Am I truly using it for myself, for the benefit of myself, my family, my skill set, my wealth in the future, etc.? Or am I only using it to make someone else wealthy? Am I subscribing to somebody, but I'm getting nothing out of it? Am I using this money on someone else that doesn't really need it? I've thought about that a lot recently as well. Why are we using money on people who don't really need it? That's a very selfish way to look at it, right? Because if every single person looked at the individual or group or the subscription that they're subscribing to and thought, you don't really need my $5, I'm going to take it back, and everybody did that, what would happen to our entertainers? What would happen to our entrepreneurs? What would happen to our current entertainment society, right? And there's places where that's good, where that's bad. But it's just something to think about. Where are you putting your $5? In yourself or in somebody else? I'm going to leave you guys with that. That was a fun little podcast session. I actually enjoyed talking with you guys a lot about these things. There's more notes that I have here that I want to chat with you guys about at a later time. But for now, I'll just leave it with this. Thank y'all for listening. I appreciate you. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will catch you for the next one. Peace.